There is something many people overlook when it comes to truly capturing another person's attention and keeping it in a meaningful way. It is not about showing off wealth, listing achievements, or trying to be the most entertaining person in the room. Those things may create brief interest, but they rarely build the kind of connection that stays in someone's mind long after a conversation ends. What truly makes someone stand out is far quieter and far more powerful. It is the ability to make another person feel genuinely understood. When someone feels truly seen, not just looked at or observed, something shifts inside them. Most people go through their daily lives receiving surface-level interactions, compliments about appearance, quick comments about work, casual small talk about the weather, or weekend plans. These conversations happen constantly, but they rarely touch anything deeper. Now imagine the difference when someone pauses long enough to ask a question that reaches beyond the surface. A question that makes a person stop for a moment, think carefully, maybe even smile and say something like, "That's interesting. No one has ever asked me that before." That brief pause, that small moment of reflection, is where genuine curiosity begins. It creates a feeling of emotional openness, the beginning of a real connection. Human attraction and connection work on multiple levels at the same time. There is the physical side that people often focus on, but there is also the psychological side, and that is the part that creates lasting impressions. When someone feels emotionally comfortable, mentally stimulated, and respected during a conversation, the experience becomes memorable. This is why meaningful conversations matter so much. When someone feels that they can express themselves honestly without feeling judged, they begin to relax. Their guard lowers naturally. They begin sharing thoughts, experiences, and personal reflections that they might not usually reveal in everyday conversations. A truly engaging conversation does not come from trying to impress someone with long stories or clever lines. Instead, it comes from creating space where the other person feels invited to express who they really are. The most memorable communicators are not necessarily the ones who talk the most. Often they are the ones who ask thoughtful questions and then listen carefully to the answers. Think about how rare that experience actually is. Many conversations today move quickly and remain shallow. People speak, but they do not always feel heard. They share words, but they rarely feel understood. That is why even a single thoughtful question can completely change the direction of a conversation. When someone asks something that encourages reflection, it activates deeper thinking. It invites a person to explore their own experiences, beliefs, and feelings. In that moment, the conversation stops being routine and becomes meaningful. For example, imagine asking someone to reflect on how they have changed over the past several years. That kind of question encourages a person to think about personal growth, lessons learned, and the events that shaped their outlook on life. Instead of simply describing what they do for work or where they live, they begin sharing pieces of their personal journey. This type of conversation creates a sense of emotional safety. It signals that you are interested not just in the surface details of someone's life, but in the person they have become through their experiences. When people feel that kind of attention, they often respond with honesty and openness. They may talk about moments that challenged them, situations that changed their perspective, or lessons they learned through difficult experiences. In those moments, a conversation transforms into something much more meaningful than simple small talk. One powerful way to begin this kind of dialogue is by asking someone about a belief or perspective they once held strongly but later changed. Everyone grows over time. Our experiences reshape our thinking, challenge our assumptions, and teach us new lessons about life. When someone reflects on that kind of change, they are often sharing something deeply personal. Maybe a past experience shifted how they view relationships. Maybe a difficult moment taught them something important about resilience or trust. Maybe time and maturity helped them understand people and life in a completely different way. Listening to those reflections with genuine attention communicates respect. It shows that you value the person's story and the growth that shaped them. Another meaningful conversation often emerges when someone is asked about the moments when they feel most like themselves. This question invites someone to think about where they feel the most comfortable, the most alive and the most authentic. For some people, that might happen while working on something creative. For others, it may occur during quiet moments alone, while reading, walking in nature, or having a deep conversation late at night. Everyone has certain environments or experiences where their true personality feels free to emerge. When someone shares those moments, they are revealing where their sense of peace and authenticity lives. Understanding that gives valuable insight into who they really are, beyond the roles they play in daily life. These types of questions are not meant to guide a conversation in a manipulative way or force someone to reveal more than they want to share. Instead, they are invitations. They open the door for meaningful dialogue, but the other person always chooses how far they want to walk through that door. The key is genuine curiosity. When a question comes from a place of sincere interest rather than strategy, people can feel the difference immediately. Authentic curiosity creates warmth and comfort in conversation. In many ways, thoughtful questions act like bridges. They connect two people by encouraging reflection, honesty, and shared understanding. When someone feels safe enough to explore their own thoughts out loud, the conversation becomes memorable for both people involved. And that is where deeper connection begins to form, not through performance or pressure, but through quiet presence and genuine listening. As conversations continue to deepen, something interesting often begins to happen. The tone becomes calmer, the pace slows slightly, and both people start feeling more present in the moment. This is where thoughtful questions can gently open new layers of understanding. Instead of focusing only on what someone does in life, the conversation begins to explore who they are becoming and what truly matters to them. One meaningful way to guide a conversation into deeper territory is by inviting someone to imagine a life without limitations. Many people carry dreams or ambitions that they rarely speak about openly. Responsibilities, expectations, and fears sometimes cause those dreams to remain quiet in the background of their minds. When someone is asked what they would choose to do if fear, financial pressure, or outside judgment were removed, it creates a moment of freedom. Suddenly, the conversation shifts from reality's constraints to possibility. A person may describe creative passions they never pursued, places they always wanted to explore, or meaningful work they once imagined doing. These reflections are powerful because they reveal the motivations that often stay hidden beneath everyday routines. When someone feels comfortable sharing those aspirations, they are not simply talking about goals. They are sharing pieces of their identity, their hopes, and the direction their heart naturally leans toward. Listening in that moment matters just as much as asking the question. Maintaining calm attention, allowing pauses, and responding thoughtfully encourages the conversation to unfold naturally. Sometimes people need a few quiet seconds to gather their thoughts before expressing something meaningful. Another thoughtful question invites someone to reflect on the kind of connection they believe they truly deserve in life. This reflection often encourages deeper self-awareness. It gently invites a person to think about how they value themselves and what kind of relationships bring them genuine happiness and emotional security. Many people move through life without pausing to examine this question. They may have experienced supportive relationships, or they may have faced disappointments that shape their expectations. When someone reflects on what kind of connection feels healthy and fulfilling to them, they often begin describing qualities such as trust, respect, emotional support, honesty, and understanding. This type of conversation is not about evaluating or judging past relationships. Instead, it is about exploring the kind of emotional environment where a person feels safe, valued, and respected. Speaking about these ideas can sometimes help individuals clarify their own needs and boundaries. Moments like this also remind us how important emotional safety is in human interactions. People tend to open up when they sense that they are being heard without criticism. When someone listens patiently and responds with empathy, it reinforces the feeling that the conversation is a safe place to share personal thoughts. Another powerful question centers around something many individuals quietly carry inside: the feeling of being misunderstood. Almost everyone has experienced moments where others formed quick assumptions about them that did not fully reflect who they truly are. Sometimes people are perceived as distant when they are actually just careful about protecting their energy. Others may appear confident on the outside while privately managing challenges that few people know about. When someone is asked what they wish people understood about them more clearly, it often brings forward these hidden layers. This type of sharing can feel deeply validating. It allows a person to express something that may have remained unspoken for a long time. Instead of feeling judged by surface impressions, they feel invited to explain the deeper truth of who they are. Listening carefully during these moments can strengthen mutual respect and understanding. The conversation becomes less about exchanging information and more about recognizing the complexity within each person's experience. Thoughtful conversations also sometimes travel into reflections about the past. Asking someone what advice they might give to their younger self encourages a unique type of introspection. It allows a person to look back on their life journey with the wisdom they have gained over time. Almost everyone carries lessons they learned through challenges, mistakes, or unexpected turns in life. When someone reflects on these experiences, they often share insights about resilience, patience, self-confidence, or compassion. These lessons are not just memories, they represent growth and personal development. Speaking about these reflections can feel surprisingly meaningful. It connects the past version of oneself with the person someone has become today. Many people find that this kind of conversation reminds them how far they have come, even if their journey included difficult chapters. What makes these discussions valuable is not simply the content of the answers, but the emotional space created during the conversation. When someone feels safe enough to express honest reflections, it strengthens the sense of connection between both individuals. Conversations like these are not meant to happen quickly or forcefully. They work best when they arise naturally in calm environments where people feel relaxed and unhurried. A quiet setting, comfortable eye contact, and genuine curiosity can transform even a simple question into a meaningful exchange. The goal is not to ask as many questions as possible, but to ask the right questions at the right time and then allow the conversation to breathe. Pauses are not awkward when people feel comfortable. In fact, silence often gives someone the space they need to think more deeply and express themselves honestly. When conversations reach this level of openness, they often leave a lasting impression. People tend to remember how they felt during an interaction more than the exact words that were spoken. Feeling understood, respected, and emotionally safe creates memories that stay long after the conversation ends. These moments of genuine communication remind us that meaningful connection does not come from perfect words or impressive stories. It grows from patience, empathy, and the willingness to listen with sincere attention. As conversations reach deeper levels of openness, another important dimension of understanding often appears. People begin reflecting not only on their past experiences or present feelings, but also on the ideas that guide their future. One thoughtful way to explore this is by asking someone what the concept of freedom truly means to them. Freedom is a word people use frequently, yet its meaning can be very personal and different for each individual. For some, freedom may represent financial independence and the ability to choose how they spend their time. For others, it may mean emotional peace, the ability to express themselves honestly without fear of judgment. Some people associate freedom with travel, creativity, or the chance to build a life that reflects their personal values rather than outside expectations. When someone is invited to define freedom in their own words, they often begin describing what they are striving for in life. They may talk about goals they are working toward, environments where they feel most comfortable, or the kind of life balance they hope to achieve. In many ways, their answer offers a window into what truly motivates them. Moments like this remind us that conversations can be much more than exchanges of information. They can become opportunities for reflection and growth. Sometimes, simply speaking thoughts out loud helps people understand their own priorities more clearly. Meaningful conversations often create an environment where individuals feel encouraged to reflect on their well-being, their emotional needs, and their life direction. This type of reflection can be surprisingly beneficial. Research in psychology and emotional health shows that when people openly discuss their thoughts and experiences in supportive environments, it can reduce stress, improve emotional awareness, and strengthen personal relationships. Healthy communication plays an important role in overall well-being. Feeling heard and understood can positively influence mental and emotional health. It creates a sense of belonging and reassurance that one's experiences and feelings matter. In everyday life, many people carry concerns silently. Busy schedules, social expectations, and constant digital communication sometimes leave little room for slow, thoughtful conversations. That is why moments of genuine listening can feel so refreshing. They allow individuals to pause, reflect, and reconnect with their own thoughts. When someone feels comfortable sharing personal reflections, it also encourages emotional balance. Speaking about experiences and feelings can help people process difficult moments, recognize lessons learned, and appreciate the progress they have made. Creating that kind of space in conversation does not require special techniques or complicated strategies. It simply requires presence, being fully attentive, maintaining respectful eye contact, and responding with empathy can make a significant difference. Another important aspect of meaningful communication is patience. Not everyone opens up immediately, and that is perfectly normal. Trust builds gradually. Sometimes a person may share only small pieces of their story at first. As they feel more comfortable, the conversation naturally deepens. This process reflects something important about human connection. People rarely remember every detail of a conversation, but they do remember how the interaction made them feel. If someone feels respected, valued, and safe during a conversation, the experience often stays with them. The same principle also applies to personal growth. When individuals take time to reflect on their beliefs, dreams, lessons from the past, and hopes for the future, they strengthen their self-awareness. Greater self-awareness often leads to healthier decisions, stronger relationships, and improved emotional resilience. In many ways, thoughtful conversations encourage this kind of self-reflection. They gently guide people to explore their values, their experiences, and the meaning they attach to different moments in life. This is why genuine curiosity can be so powerful. When curiosity comes from a place of kindness and respect, it encourages open dialogue. It communicates that the other person's story is worth hearing and understanding. Of course, it is also important to approach these conversations with sensitivity. Not everyone may feel ready to discuss certain topics, and respecting personal boundaries is essential. A healthy conversation always allows the other person to choose how much they wish to share. When communication remains respectful and supportive, it can become a positive experience for both individuals involved. It builds understanding, strengthens trust, and encourages emotional openness. At its core, meaningful connection is not about impressing others or proving personal value. It is about creating moments where people feel comfortable expressing who they truly are. These moments can be simple, quiet, and genuine, yet they often carry lasting impact. Sometimes the most powerful part of a conversation is not the question itself, but the care and attention behind it. When someone listens sincerely, without interruption or judgment, it sends a powerful message of respect. Over time, these kinds of interactions help build stronger relationships, greater empathy, and healthier emotional communication. They remind us that connection is not built through performance or pressure, but through patience, presence, and understanding. In a world where many interactions happen quickly and on the surface, choosing to slow down and listen deeply can make a remarkable difference. It allows people to feel valued, understood, and supported. And when people feel that kind of genuine attention, conversations stop being ordinary exchanges. They become meaningful experiences that encourage reflection, understanding, and personal growth.